Ken Jennings is so committed to Jeopardy that he's willing to take a pay cut if it means hosting for decades to come, the U.S. Sun has been told. The former champion, 50, was named sole host in December 2023 after mayim Bialik, 48, was let go from the series. Ken and mayim were initially announced as Jeopardy co-hosts in July 2022, succeeding the late great Alex Trebek. It was previously reported that they were each tied to $4 million contracts, which is what Ken presumably still makes. Sony, the company behind the iconic game show, then cut ties with the Big Bang Theory actress. Now, it seems Jeopardy has finally settled on Ken as host for good, and he is reportedly hellbent on keeping it that way. Fine with less money. A source claims that Ken has made it known to higher-ups that he's in it for the long haul, much like Alex was. Jeopardy is Ken's religion, he lives it, and he breathes it, and despite all the outside pressures, he's not going to mess this up, they shared. He's proud to have worked his way into this position and believes he has what it takes to make it last for decades to come. Of course, he acknowledges that nobody could ever fill the shoes of Alex Trebek, an icon and someone Ken himself looked up to as a personal hero. They continued, what he really wants more than anything is to stick around and make this position work for the long run. And if that means making less money to ensure his longevity, you can bet your life he'd be game. This isn't all about the money, they added. It's a way of life for Ken and then some. He's in it for the long run and to secure his status in the show's history. Of course, Ken is already comfortable. He made $2.5 million from his still record 74-game run as a contestant, $4.3 million including tournaments. That said, Alex reportedly made $10 million a year by the end of his 36-year tenure, which is more than double Ken's salary even before a potential pay cut. No Trebek-style contract. Ken is also being watched closely now that he's the face of the beloved quiz show, which continues to rake in money for Sony. Jeopardy is Sony's cash cow, and it's as financially important to them as Breaking Bad was, even though it makes 10 times the money, the insider continued. Now that Ken is in the center of the action, everything has changed. For one, they're not paying mayim her huge co-hosting salary anymore. The show is instantly a lot more profitable than it was when she was hanging around. 2, they are absolutely gassing up Ken and trying to fill him with confidence about the massive journey ahead, about keeping the show on for another 25 years. But this is a path filled with pitfalls. It's crazy and it's a leap of faith, but Ken wants this gig and has stiffened his backbone to deliver his best work. Ken has clearly polished his hosting chops on stage, and off stage. He's also backed off from posting to his once controversial Twitter page. However, the source claimed that while it's understood Ken is in it for the long haul, that agreement allegedly isn't in writing yet. He still has no long-term Trebek-style contract, and the president of Sony TV can replace him at any time, on a whim. She has all the power in this relationship, and that's why somebody like Ken is bound to be so afraid of her. The whole carpet can be pulled out from under him at any second. He's trying his best, but in the long term, that might not be enough. Thankfully, it seems like it is enough so far as Ken is well liked by fans and players alike. The U.S. Sun has reached out to Sony representatives for comment. Ken holds the record for the longest winning streak in Jeopardy history with 74 consecutive wins in 2004. Alex hosted the show's modern iteration from 1984 until in November 2020 after losing a battle with pancreatic cancer. After his death, things got a bit chaotic, as viewers know all too well. After a series of guest hosts, officials announced that producer Mike Richards and actress mayim would be taking over as co-hosts. However, in August 2021, Richards resigned over sexist resurfaced comments and Ken stepped in to split hosting duties with mayim. In July 2022, it was announced that mayim and Ken would continue to host together for season 39 by switching off. However, after the show's summer 2023 hiatus, it was revealed that Jennings would take over as the permanent host for season 40. Mayim announced in a personal Instagram message in late December 2023 that she would no longer be hosting the show. As the holiday break begins in Hollywood, I have some Jeopardy news, she began her post. Sony has informed me that I will no longer be hosting the syndicated version of Jeopardy. Jeopardy! Cobbled together a similar-looking Instagram message an hour later, and it has since been reported that mayim broke the news without consulting the show first. Ken later said he understood the decision as shows don't have two hosts. Now, Ken helms all facets of Jeopardy, including specials and spin-offs. In another interview, he said plainly, "I look forward to 37 more years of doing it, hosting, when I'll be a very, very old man."